After almost 60 years of strong bipartisan support, Congress has cut all federal funding for public media, stripping away a critical pillar of support for local stations like ours. At Vermont Public, we'll lose at least $2 million this year. If all our sustaining members increase their gift by $7 per month, we'll close that gap for good. Increase your gift today and help close the gap at vermontpublic.org/update.
From Vermont Public, this is The Frequency. I'm Mitch Wertlieb. It's Monday, September 8th, and here are today's headlines. Vermont can build 11 new fast-charging stations for electric vehicles along key roadways now that federal money for the projects has been released. The Scott administration announced late last week that the state has received nearly $16 million as part of a federal electric vehicle program. The money had been frozen for months due to an executive order from President Trump. State Transportation Secretary Joe Flynn says the program released new guidance last month, and he says Vermont received full funding for its planned charging stations shortly after resubmitting plans.
We're grateful that this has landed the way it did, and we look forward to building out this infrastructure for Vermonters who use AVs and those visitors to Vermont who rely on charging networks while they're here.
The money will pay for 50 to 60 charging ports at 11 stations along major routes across the state. State regulators say Brattleboro Memorial Hospital might need an independent observer to oversee the hospital's troubled finances. Emma Runya is a financial analyst for the Green Mountain Care Board, and she says the hospital's recent budget proposal was incomplete and unreliable.
GMCB staff believes that Brattleboro's FY26 budget submission contains material misrepresentations.
The legislature passed a law this year that gives regulators new authority to order more oversight when they're concerned about a hospital's finances. The Brattleboro Hospital lost money every year for the past 5 years, and it expects to lose almost $3 million next year. The hospital's CEO says leadership knows there are problems and they are willing to resubmit the budget. The board will vote on whether to bring in an independent observer within the next few weeks. A Manchester woman arrested outside her home by Immigrations and Customs Enforcement agents last month is now at a processing center in Michigan. The Brattleboro Reformer reports 42-year-old Devona Williams was transferred there from the Chittenden Regional Correctional Facility last week. The mother of 3 is originally from Jamaica, but she's worked in Vermont as a health aide for years. Her lawyer told the Brattleboro Reformer Williams was in the process of obtaining legal status in the U.S. and has no criminal record. But she did have a prior removal order from 2013. That's what ICE agents enforced when they arrested her in late August. A judge in Boston has temporarily stopped the government from deporting Williams to Jamaica. The Reformer reports she will stay at the ICE facility in Michigan while the case continues. And September is River Cleanup Month in Vermont, and environmental advocates are urging residents to pick up trash and other debris from their local streams. Lynn Munno is with an organization called Watersheds United Vermont. She says September was designated River Cleanup Month because it's the best time to access the water.
In September, our waters tend to be low. This year, very low. And warmer, and it is a great time to get out to the rivers and pull the trash out.
Last year, volunteers hauled 20,000 pounds of trash from about 140 river sites across the state. Environmental officials say garbage deposited into rivers can leach into the water and negatively affect aquatic habitats. And coming up, an avid angler hoped to convert his passion into a career as a fishing guide. But the state of New Hampshire has a law that keeps people with a felony record from working in that capacity. We'll hear the full story after this.
Thanks for listening to The Frequency, where support comes from SRH Law, believing that values and mission still matter. When you need good counsel for your values-based work, whether it's securing our energy future, building affordable and sustainable communities, or advancing a values-led economy, they're here to help you make a difference. SRHLaw.com. Making a difference is our practice.
For most of his life, J.B. Nicholas has just wanted to fish. Fish in wild rivers, the kind of places completely foreign to where he grew up in the Bronx. But when Nicholas applied to get a fishing guide license so he could teach others, something from his past stood in the way. New Hampshire Public Radio's Todd Bookman has the story.
J.B. Nicholas and I were supposed to meet up at 11 a.m. He was late, but apologetic.
Like, craziest morning of everything going wrong. and like trying to report a story. I'm supposed to be on vacation. But
JB is a freelance reporter. He also has an unreliable car, which left him stranded in the Walmart parking lot. But he got a jump and made his way streamside.
And just before I turn in, of course, they play Dropkick Murphys on the radio. So it's just like, yes, things are turning a corner. It's going to be good the rest of the day. Anyway, this is my vacation. This is how New Yorkers do it.
JB is 55 years old with short hair and a little David Letterman gap tooth. He has a vivid memory, I guess what you'd call his original fishtail, of a visit to his grandmother's house in Maine.
It was a bluefish. I caught a couple of them. And, you know, it was just for a 7-year-old kid from the Bronx, catching a fish was like, it was a whole new world.
His other world back then was 1980s New York City. Escape from New York era New York. Crime was high. His mother would take him camping, though, get him out into nature. And he spent summers in New England on rivers and lakes.
I was lucky. I got to, before it all went a little crazy, I got to cast a line in those rivers and get a good taste of the outdoor life.
Before it all went a little crazy, to put it mildly. On March 3rd, 1990, JB is 19 years old. He's riding around with 3 people in a car after a beer run. They pull over, in JB's telling, to relieve themselves. JB says a man out of nowhere turns the corner, starts walking towards them. He thinks he has a gun. JB hustles to his car, grabs a shotgun, fires 3 times. The guy runs off. According to JB, he doesn't even think he's hit him. He would read about what happened in the paper, that a 26-year-old named Paul Delano was dead, and that Paul Delano's father wanted answers. The following year, 1991, a jury convicted JB of second-degree manslaughter.
How long did you serve in jail?
12 and 2/3 years.
When he was released, JB vowed to reform himself. He got a bachelor's degree from NYU in creative writing, and then went to work as a news photographer for the New York Post. Now, he's made a name for himself, writing about prisons and corrections and inmate abuse for his own website. He's tenacious about journalism, really about everything he does.
I go to the fish. I bring it to the fish. I don't wait for the fish to bring it to me.
We're along the Androscoggin River, up in the town of Errol. JB wiggles into a pair of waders, ties on a nymph.
Oh, you got the GoPro. In case you land something.
In case I land something. In case I land something big, really. Like, that's the only reason I keep it now, You'd be like, I had the biggest fish. Guys can't tell fish stories anymore. Let's go to the videotape.
In the water, JB's arms move in a practiced arc, casting the fly. He was in this same river a few years ago when he decided it was time for a career change.
I turned 50 that same year the pandemic hit, and I just realized, like, I got another life in me to live, And I wanted to live it outside.
JB wants to start a guide service, take people backcountry, fish the wild rivers. So he applied to get a fishing guide license in 3 states, in New York, where he lives, and in New Hampshire and Maine. But he hit a snag, rules that prohibit felons from getting guide licenses that have been in place for decades.
It's really insulting. It's not just hurtful. Yeah, it makes me angry. Here I am 30-something years later, done all this great stuff, helped a lot of people besides myself, and I'm just a felon. I'm just an unrehabilitated felon.
We have a duty, I think, to make sure that we're not putting kids and families out with someone who is not safe.
This is Colonel Kevin Jordan, top law enforcement officer for New Hampshire Fish and Game. JB would ultimately sue the state and Colonel Jordan over this rule, contending that a blanket ban on felons getting guide licenses violates his constitutional rights. And he won. Last year, a federal judge sided with JB at an early stage in the case, and New Hampshire agreed to change its rules before it went to trial.
And so the felony conviction was the standard back in the old days to say, well, they're not safe because they were convicted of a felony. That still may be the case, depending on the felony and the rehabilitation. But I'm not ready to say that's everyone.
The new rules, if they get approved, would require a 10-year period between the crime and the application for the guide license. The applicant will have to prove to a committee that they've rehabilitated themselves. And then they'll still have to take the guide test, which Jordan says is highly technical, Guides take people backcountry, into difficult, remote places. They have to have backcountry skills in case there's an issue. If the process goes smoothly, JB could sit for the guide exam, perhaps early next year.
I mean, that's a big victory, I feel, and I'm glad to be able to share that with the people in New Hampshire.
JB also prevailed in New York, but lost his case in Maine. He's appealing. He wants these guide licenses for himself, of course, for his business idea. But he also views it as a way to chip away at the restrictions, the state licensing regulations, that have long stood in the way of felons getting certain jobs, housing, opportunities.
You feel like you've paid your debts?
I mean, I was convicted of manslaughter, so in a way, my debt never ends. I have a duty, the way I look at it and the way I've always looked at it, I have a duty not only to better myself so that I never commit another crime, but to also help others better themselves so that they don't commit a crime or another crime.
JB swaps out some flies, works the river, keeps moving. But hours go by with no action. Until
I got one.
there's no need for the GoPro. This thing's a baby.
It's a very small fish, but I got one. Look at that.
JB unhooks a brook trout and gently lowers it into the river.
I didn't get skunked. I didn't get skunked with the NPR reporter. That's more important than anything. I mean, I just want to share this with people, get people off their phones, get people off their computers, get them out of their house, get them out of their bedroom, get them outside into the woods, I mean, come on, get out there, do something, And that's what I want to share with people.
For the New England News Collaborative, I'm Todd Bookman.
Thanks for listening to The Frequency today. We had additional reporting from Nathaniel Wilson, Howard Weiss-Tisman, Stephanie Colombini, who also edited today's episode, and Peter Hirschfeld. Our music is by Blue Dot Sessions. I'm Mitch Wertley. I'll talk to you tomorrow.